Hey, welcome back to Web3 with Whitney. This is day 30 of the series, and it's really exciting. It's funny. I was talking to my dad a few hours ago, and he was like, "So you've done 30 videos now?" And I'm like, "Well, technically, my next one will be 30." And he's like, "So does that mean you're gonna stop?" And I said, "No." And he started laughing. He was like, "Well, how long are you gonna do this for?" I have no idea. I actually could see this going indefinitely. And now that I've reached 30 episodes, I might switch it up. I was thinking earlier today that I might change um, maybe some of the style. I might change the titling I've been using for titles of the episodes, like day 30, like today, plus like the theme of it. But I might just like go back to more of a traditional podcast style and just have a title without the days. I got part of the inspiration for the show came from Pat Flynn, who did a year, I think, of live streams for his show. And he started it right around when COVID started to get really intense in the United States. So that was March 2020. And I remember him talking about how much of a difference those live streams made for him and for his community. And I don't even know if I ever watched any of them, but I remember just feeling very impressed. I thought it was so cool. And so here I am almost 2 years later doing it myself. I was also inspired by my friend Brian Fanzo, who has the show NFT 365. And that's a daily show that he's planning to do for a whole year. And maybe he was inspired by Pat Flynn. I actually should ask him where that idea came from. His show's super polished, and so is Pat's. Mine is much more down to earth just because I wanted to keep it simple because that's part of my personality. But I think that actually ties into today's topic, which is finding our place, as I've talked about a bit before, but especially looking at NFTs. I was spending time with someone today in real life, one of my friends, Kathy. We were talking about NFTs almost the entire time that we were together, and I was encouraging her to explore it herself for her work because she creates incredible recipes. If you're not familiar with her, Kathy Patowski, she does great work in the plant-based world. She's interested in helping busy moms and cooking for their children. And she's got all these amazing ideas and skills. She's got an incredible audience. And she's also very interested in Web3 and actually has a fair amount of knowledge in it. So I thought she would be the perfect person to get started in here. But something I've heard come up over and over again for myself, my friends, other people I know, is getting stuck in trying to figure out what we want to do before we even start. And I want to share with you how doing this daily, almost daily series, I haven't been every single day, but it's been at least every other day. But doing 30 of these videos has done so much for me. It gave me awareness that I don't think I would have had I not just started with this, had I not gone through all of the technical challenges that I had with this. And there were many, as I've talked about several times. And even when I look back on the beginning of this project and the struggles that I had getting started with this and the moments of thinking like, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about the next time I go live. I've had a lot of like second guessing moments, and should I be doing this? Should I change it? Just all that background noise. And I was noticing that as I was reflecting on Kathy and her work of just trying to like almost overanalyze. And this has been me so much in the work that I'd done over time. But I found, especially through this project, that just by starting it helped me figure things out. And I don't even feel like I fully figured them out yet. I'm still in that process. But what's really cool about this particular project that I'm doing, and I think something worth considering for yourself if you're examining your place in Web3 and with NFTs, is just noticing how you're feeling, noticing how people are reacting to it, noticing that rhythm. And you can't really figure that out until you actually start. You know, a lot of people want to plan before they begin something. And there's kind of some cliche advice around just starting, just doing it, just getting in there. And I couldn't agree more. I find that when I have the desire to plan something a ton, I end up actually getting too in my head that I find it incredibly hard to just start it. I find that I start trying to predict what's going to happen. Another great example is, and great timing, because wonderful person just joined. I'll keep you anonymous, but you're going to know who you are when I mention you. Someone who just joined the live stream as part of this project I started almost 2 years ago called Beyond Measure. And when I started working on Beyond Measure, I wanted to get it quote right. I wanted to create like this incredible landing page on my website and make like it really clear about the value that people were getting for this community I wanted to build, because I had the idea in my head and my heart, but I was really struggling to get it out on paper, and so I was spending tons of time researching what it could be. I was looking to see what other people were doing and thinking like, oh, maybe I can like cut out pieces of what this person's doing and paste it into my idea. And I was like trying to piece together a project based on what I was trying to translate from my head and my heart, plus what other people were doing and anticipating what I thought people wanted. And it just became convoluted. And I was talking to a friend of mine around summer 2020, and she said, why don't you just start it and just figure it out as you go along? And it felt really scary because I think a lot of us are afraid to share the behind the scenes. A lot of us are afraid to show the imperfect sides of our work. I certainly have been. But I've actually learned to be more comfortable with that. It still feels uncomfortable. I still get nervous. I still get in my head and think people might be criticizing me behind the scenes, making fun of me, thinking I'm doing a bad job. But I would rather, quote, do a bad job and not be perfect, but start, because that's where you gain so much momentum. And if I hadn't done that with Beyond Measure, I don't know if Beyond Measure would have ever happened. And now in February 2022, I have the momentum and also a, a perspective that I could not have had without trying it out and beta testing it, basically. So this video is not about Beyond Measure, but you can check it out on my website if you're curious. I just recently opened it up to the public. So I will say that I did technically spend a lot of time testing, but I started testing with other people, not just with myself. And then once I felt like I was ready to open it up to the public, I did. I probably should have done that a lot, earlier, but hindsight is always 2020. And now that Beyond Measure is public, I feel so excited and proud of it. And I also know it's going to go into another phase, just like this series. So I've seen this series kind of go through 3 phases already, which is the first 10 days of the series, I was fumbling. I did not I had so much tech issues. I was trying to find my place and what to talk about. I was trying to find the rhythm of it. And it just felt like almost a disaster. And then the second phase was me finding my rhythm and finally getting over the tech issues. And today I feel like I might be entering in the third phase, which is I feel more comfortable. I've had feedback. I feel excited and passionate about this. So I had to push through all of that in order to get here. And how does that tie into NFTs? Well, I think that we're going through different phases with Web3. We're going to see so much shifting with NFTs. And I'm also recently I'm newly passionate about NFTs. And to give a little background to that before I share something today that's brand new, is I didn't even know what an NFT was until maybe late summer 2021. And I still feel like that was early on. I also remember SNL did a skit with Pete Davidson. He was doing a parody of one of Eminem's music videos, and it was all about NFTs. And I was thinking about that today and just laughing because the chorus, or one of the main lines in the song is like, "What the hell is an NFT?" And I remember thinking that I don't know what this is, but I started to become really interested in them. And I think late August or September because I joined the platform Rally and created my social token, the Well coin, and Rally announced that they were going to start an NFT marketplace. And I was like, okay, I barely know what an NFT is, but I'm really curious about this. I want to create my own. So I started conceptualizing it and trying to figure out what I wanted to do and looking what other people's work was in this space. And I was seeing people post photos. I remember like one of my favorite bands created an NFT, which to this day, I don't really know what it was. I think it was like one of their songs. And so I was just like slowly trying to understand how these things worked and wanting to develop it alongside them. But what's interesting about that process in the beginning stages is kind of the opposite of what I just shared, where I was trying to rush it before I really understood what I was doing. And I'm actually glad that I didn't rush. I think I mentioned this a few episodes ago, but I'm glad that I've taken my time with that. But I think it's a simultaneous, like, not rushing just to rush, not rushing just to do something, but rushing with intention, I suppose, or moving at your own pace very intentionally, if that makes sense. So for the case with the NFT project, I decided to not rush and step back and better understand it and do some more education. And that's actually been helpful. So, I'm going to kind of take back some of what I said, because perhaps how we start something new is going to depend, it's very relative on exactly what it is and where we're at in the process, right? So for me, I guess I can't compare creating NFTs to live videos because I have a lot of experience doing live videos and a lot of experience doing podcasts. NFTs, though, are completely new to me. So if that's brand new to you as well, then maybe it makes sense to take your time educating. But what I would say is that while you're learning about something, maybe you can practice it in more of a private setting, similar to what I'm doing in the Beyond Measure case, right? Like, it's not fully public. It's not for sale yet. Maybe only like your close friends and family members know about it, but they get to give you feedback and help shape it along the way. So that's probably the perspective I would give if you're thinking about your place in NFTs. Now, I imagine that the majority of you, and I could be wrong, so please let me know. You can message me at any point if you're brand new to this series. You can actually go to my website and submit questions and topic requests to me and get some free cryptocurrency from my Well Social token. So if that doesn't make any sense to you, don't worry. The simplest explanation is just go to my website, which is linked in the description or on my profile, depending on where you're watching from. And there's a little form and you can submit your question. If you give me your email address, I send you a redemption link to get some of my free cryptocurrency. And it's not a scam by any means. It's on the Rally platform. They're amazing. Someone that just asked me today, like, is Rally trustworthy? I've been on there since August. I've made incredible friends on there. I've met a number of the people behind Rally. I cannot rave enough about them. I think it's awesome. So I'd be happy to give you some of the Rally in exchange for your participation. Anyway, so I'd love to know, are you thinking about NFTs yet? Do you feel confused about them? Do you feel skeptical of them? Have you heard critical things? My dad, for instance, was sharing today how he spends a lot of time on Twitter. He works in the legal world, and he says half of his Twitter feed is really like positive, pro Web3 and NFTs, and half of it's like really critical, pessimistic skepticism. And I said, that's actually really cool to be able to look at it from two sides. But to be honest, if somebody is really pessimistic about it, I think that that's a bit short-sighted, because from what I'm gathering about NFTs is that there's going to be incredible value. They are the future. There are so many use cases of people developing NFTs, like huge companies. I mean, Disney, basically any big company right now, I would at least imagine, if they haven't announced it yet, they're thinking about it, if not already working on an NFT project. My prediction, based on what I'm seeing in the space, is that They're going to be used in all of these different ways for artists to generate revenue for themselves, for companies to create more revenue. They're going to be used at events like Coachella, I mentioned a few weeks ago. They launched an NFT collection, which gives you some artwork plus tickets to their concert. Tickets are going to be a huge part of NFTs, and I think we're going to see a huge wave of all different types of events, from concerts to conferences, etc., that are giving you an image or some sort of digital artwork, which could be three-dimensional, it could be music, it could be all sorts of things. Basically, anything digital, from my understanding, can be an NFT. We're going to see a wave of that with what's called utility. And that utility will be that you get this digital file, and along with it, you also get access to things. And something I'm going to show you an example of it today that I'm really excited about. So I think certainly there's skepticism. There are some issues with it. I've tried to outline that in the past, and I want to do a better job breaking that down in upcoming episodes. But essentially, it seems like people are worried about scams. They're worried about some of the dangers right now. This is something I bring up almost every episode. You have to be really mindful right now because it feels a bit like the wild, wild west, or the Wild West. I don't think there's two wilds in that. There are people, there are bad actors. There are people that are trying to make money, get the cash grab. We hear terms like rug pulls, which is, I guess, the easiest way that I understand it. The simplest way to describe it is that you'll buy an NFT, for an example, and then the project will shut down and you lose all your money. Or the NFT will be promised to be super valuable, but once you buy it, the price goes way down and you find out it was all inflated. These are the things I'm trying to better understand. And we are seeing a lot of that happen. Just a few days ago, there was a big issue with one of the big NFT platforms, OpenSea, with a phishing attack, right? And so people get nervous about it. And if you're feeling nervous, this also ties back into what I said at the beginning. Like, when you're thinking about your place in Web3 and kind of scoping out things like NFTs, like, tune into yourself and your intuition, but make sure that you're trying to look at it from different sides. So you can look to me. I will always give you the most transparent, positive perspective possible. There are people that may be hyping it up and make it seem like it's really great and there's nothing wrong with this. And you might want to be mindful, like, check in with your gut. Do you trust this person, right? But I also think if you're feeling fearful, is that coming from a place of being unsure? Are you fearful because you want to do things right and you don't want to mess up? That, I guess, is one of the common themes here, whether you're trying to get into this space to generate revenue from you. Maybe you're an artist. Maybe you're a creator. There's musicians and entrepreneurs and brands. I mean, there's so many benefits to creating NFTs. But if you're not even thinking about creating them, maybe you just might be interested in buying them, acquiring them, because you can get them for free as well. I think leaning into that and perhaps setting some sort of timeline for yourself. Maybe you could spend a month or two starting today studying them. My top resource, if I had to give one, is NFT 365. It's a podcast from my friend Brian, who I met through Rally. And Brian and I talk all the time. He's an incredible resource that's helped me so much. And I listen to his podcast any chance I can get. It's really helped me understand NFTs. So he's come out with 100 episodes. So maybe you could say, I'm going to listen to all 100 episodes of that show, and then I'm going to take some action. Or maybe say you're going to listen to the first 30 episodes, and by the time you get there, you might be ready to buy an NFT or to start making your own. I see someone I know through the natural products world, and I just want to say we are already seeing a ton of movement happening in the CPG, the consumer packaged goods space, where companies are creating NFTs as a way of marketing their brands and connecting with their consumers. And I think that's so exciting. So with no further ado, I want to share with you a project that I just purchased. If you are brand new to this series, this is the 30th episode of Web3 with Whitney. And yesterday, in the 29th episode, I shared the challenges I had buying this NFT. And I have a little bit of the behind the scenes. If you want to go hear more details, go check out yesterday's episode. But essentially, I was on Twitter and I saw somebody that I've been following and trust mentioning this NFT project. And I'm going to bring this up on my screen. If you're watching on Instagram, the other channels that I use for this show have screen sharing abilities. So unfortunately, Instagram doesn't let me do that, at least not how it's configured. And heads up to Instagram, my phone is getting low on battery. So if you lose me and you want to keep watching the live, go click the link in my profile and that will lead you to the live links and also the previous episodes. So I'm going to display on my screen. This is the NFT that I bought. And actually, if you're on Instagram, this is from my recent post. So you could click out of the live and go see this for a visual. This is part of an NFT collection called National Parks NFT. I knew I needed to get this. Why? Because I love national parks. It has become a really big passion of mine, especially last year. I bought an annual pass, which is it's a pass that you can get and it gives you access to. Did you say that again? Sorry. Not Siri. She thinks I'm talking to her. This annual pass allows you to go to as many national parks and national monuments, and I don't know if it works in forests as well, but you get access to all these incredible places throughout the US. It's about $80. I bought it last year, and last year alone, I think I went to 12 national parks within like a few month period, and it hasn't expired yet. So I'm planning to go to a bunch more. I've been to about 19 national parks. My goal is to go to all of them. So when I saw this NFT collection, I was like, perfect. This is awesome. But also the artwork I thought was absolutely stunning. On their website, which I've linked in the description, and for those on Instagram, it's nationalparksnft.io. And this outlines how this is going beyond the artwork to utility. And this is what's really exciting. If you're sitting there thinking about buying your own NFTs or I should say, making your own, I feel like they're an amazing use case. All right, let me explain why. So I'm going to start on their homepage here. I don't know how to get back to that. So this NFT collection is multiple things at once. It is artwork. They have almost 5,000 variations of artwork based on each national park. I think there are 63 national parks. So each of the parks has their own NFT, but they created what's called in the NFT world traits or properties that are kind of nuances to the artwork. So each park could have different variations, right? So if you go to mine, for example, on OpenSea, you can click the properties. Mine is Arches National Park. It's got a classic sunset sky. It has an erosion trait for the earth, and the atmosphere is a glare. And if you go to their full collection on OpenSea, you can sort by all of these different properties to decide which one you want to buy or which one you want to put an offer on, all through OpenSea. There's 4,825 of them. So I wanted to be a little mindful of the price point. So I looked at the lower prices items. So you can sort on OpenSea by price low to high. And I looked at my price range. I picked a budget for myself. And then I picked a park that I had been to and I have some passion for. And I bought it. And yesterday's video was all about how hard that was. It was not that easy for me because that was the first time I had bought on OpenSea. And frankly, I found it very confusing. I found it quite expensive with all the fees. And this is one of the downsides to NFTs right now, especially on a platform like OpenSea. There's fees involved. And yesterday's episode covers that. So if you're curious about some of those fees, please go check out that episode. So the fees were annoying. And I had a bunch of other issues that I ran into, but the good news is I got my NFT. And let's talk about some other benefits of it that also might put NFTs into perspective for you, some of the value. So, what I like about this collection is that it's not just the artwork. A lot of people, when they're skeptical about NFTs, will say things like, but isn't it just a JPEG? Can't anybody just save this to their device? Like, why do you need to own that JPEG, right? But why do you need to own any art? I mean, you can see the art behind me, right? Like maybe a bunch of people have this piece of art. This one's on a little on the unique side. I don't know how many copies of it there are, but let's say you go to a place like IKEA and like you can go in their art section, like tons, how many prints of that are there, right? But you're buying that because you like the way it looks. The difference though with NFTs, which stands for non-fungible tokens, is that it's about it being unique. And usually, and I'm still trying to understand this because it seems like some NFTs are all the same. So I don't know as a broad term if NFT truly only means unique, but sometimes there's tiny little nuances, like they'll change one little bit about it or something. Or this is something I'm not quite there yet with my NFT journey. But in general, the idea is that you're owning something unique that only you have. So while other people could view it, you're the only owner of it. And that may give you some things. And in the case of this national park NFT project, what they give you is amazing for someone like me. So it comes along with a whole club. And if you go to their website, you can check this out. They have actually, I just skipped over part of it. Hold on, let me go back to this first page here. nationalparksnft.io. Here's what you get. Membership to the club includes bi-weekly webinars by experts with live contests. They give away annual passes. So you could win like an $80 annual pass, which could cover some of the money that you spend on the NFT. They have trivia contests. They give away things with their partners. Right now they're partnered with, I think it's Athletic Brewing Company, which is a alcohol-free beer that I think they're awesome. So you can win that. They're partnered with a coffee company. You can win some free coffee. And they're like really cool small companies. So you're supporting them too. They give discounts on partner gear and experiences, discounts on travel, accommodation, and park experiences, access to photography experts, hiking guides, and park experts. And they're working on a metaverse park experience, which to me, I'm so excited for that. Like, I'm hoping that what that will mean is that they will create metaverse versions of national parks. So I could be sitting here at my desk and put on a VR headset and feel transported to Arches National Park. That's what I'm hoping this means. Like, and I'm going to get into the metaverse very soon. Exciting little preview that I'm going to be doing a lot more stuff personally in the metaverse to better understand it so I can talk about it in these episodes. But elements like that about the metaverse really excite me. So I thought it was amazing. Plus, and probably most importantly, especially with people that have concerns about the impacts of NFTs, that the National Park NFTs donates and supports the National Park Foundation and other charities. And they are somewhere on their website. Oh, here we go. They donate to Offsetra, which has efforts to invest in carbon neutral, impactful programs. They're also involved with 1% for the planet. So to me, like, all of my values and passions were, well, not all of them. A lot of my values and passions were aligned in this project. That's why I wanted to buy it. And when I made that purchase, I felt elated. I have acquired a few other NFTs, and I've talked about some of them in previous episodes, but most of them I haven't felt that excited about, to be honest. Like, I'm just kind of doing them to, I acquire them to experiment and better understand it. But when I got this one, I felt on top of the world, and I just love the utility. So again, if you're thinking about buying something, does it give you that level of joy? Is that what's important to you? Are you buying it for an investment opportunity? You can go and evaluate NFTs and the long term and the risk factor of them and all that. Certainly, I don't give financial advice on that at all, but certainly that's one reason why people buy NFTs. They kind of flip them or I don't know if that's the right word, but they buy them and sell them for more. But I think the utility in NFT is really, really cool. And especially if you're thinking of making them yourself, can you create utility? The other thing that the National Parks NFT is working on, and again, my phone's getting really close to dying. So if you're watching on Instagram, it may just shut off abruptly. You can come join me on one of the other platforms using the link in my bio. But what's also neat about this particular project is they have a whole Discord. I don't know where this is linked in here. Oh, here it is. They have a whole community. And what's neat about that is for someone like me who likes to go to national parks, you can go into this community and not only connect with the people that have created this NFT and the people that have bought it, but like they're all there for similar reasons as you. So if you are thinking of making NFTs, can you create a community, or can you use your existing community and give them more by creating an NFT for them, right? Can you add more value? That's really the big question here. Speaking of questions, I think I might have mentioned this in a past video. I found this piece about the questions concerning technology. And it's actually a really great list of things to ponder when it comes to figuring out our place in technology and how we feel about it. And I thought I could pull this up in context of NFTs. So I'm going to go through this now and display it on my screen. It's also linked in the description of this video if you want to go check it out yourself. But it's a great opportunity to really evaluate what's important to you. And when you're looking at something like an NFT, does this NFT feel like the right decision? You might need to come up with a list of questions. And on this article, there's 41 questions to go through. So let me just look at a few that jump out. I love this very first one. What sort of person will the use of this technology make me? So if you're thinking about your place in Web3 and specifically with NFTs, what will happen to you by using and participating in this piece of technology? That's something I think about a lot, right? I want to stay true to myself and my core. And the more that I can be clear about who I am, what my purpose is, where I fit in, where my value is that I'm offering others, the easier it is for me to participate in things like this. For example, I think my place in Web3 is about being friendly and down to earth, transparent, rooted in wellness and well-being, there to be a bright light, right? Versus a lot of people see technology as overwhelming and inaccessible and lack of connection, maybe negativity, ego, money, like exclusivity, like a lot of these kind of things that might not make people feel good. My aim is to make people feel good. I want people around me to feel their best and feel like their true selves. And that's what I hope to lead with as I do my work in Web3 and my work with NFTs. So this question is really helpful, right? Second question on here is, what habits will the use of this technology instill? So if you're thinking about buying or making NFTs, like how is that part of habits that are important to you or habits that you're looking to create? This third question is one of my favorites. How will the use of this technology affect my experience of time? This is something I need to think a lot about, especially as I plan to enter into the metaverse, which I will tell you more about later this week, hopefully. But I've heard that the metaverse can feel like a big time suck, that you can get lost in this virtual world and maybe lose sense of your time in the quote real world. Do I want that? I don't know yet, but I do need to be mindful of it, just like I need to be mindful about my usage on social media like TikTok. So there's a lot of amazing questions in this. I really encourage you. Again, this is the questions concerning technology from the Convivial Society. It's linked in the description of this video. And before I wrap up, I wanted to answer some questions that I got on LinkedIn, which sadly, I think my phone will die before. I just said LinkedIn. I meant to say Instagram. But I had some really wonderful questions that came up on Instagram today that I wanted to address verbally. So this is when I posted my my piece about the NFT collection, and somebody who said, I have never bought an NFT. I don't feel like I understand the benefits nor the risk of ownership. And to that, I replied and said, from my perspective, the benefits depend on the project. In the case of this one that I just bought, it comes with a ton of real life perks because it's a membership. Other NFTs allow you to support artists financially. The risks are generally when you buy something hoping that it will increase in value, but it doesn't. So if you don't expect to make money off an NFT, then it's generally not risky. Now, in hindsight, I also should have included that there are some security risks, just like with any other technology, right? So that is currently what I understand about it. I'm not an expert in NFTs. I don't know if I really want to be, but I will keep you posted as I learn more about them over time. And after I posted this, the same person, his name is Ted, said, thank you for trying to explain the concept. In your perspective, are there any benefits to either the artist or the artist patrons of buying the NFT over and above simply contributing financially to their ongoing work? Phenomenal question. That platform Rally that I joined reminds me a lot of Patreon. And it's kind of looking at how we are, when we're moving from where we're currently at in Web3 to Web2 to Web3 and the evolution, how things will shift. And Patreon is a place that a lot of people use to contribute financially to creators and artists that they want to support. And I see platforms like Rally and NFTs as opportunities to do the same thing. So what is the difference? Well, Ted followed up with that with kind of an assumption here that I thought was actually really well said, which is it the idea that artists' ongoing work increases the value of existing NFTs held, as well as giving the artist a way to expand their programs by issuing more NFTs to a new group of purchasers if they want to expand their program. So I'm not fully certain that I understand, but the gist there I think is really key, which is yes, the cool thing about NFTs, especially for artists, whether they're painters or, people creating artwork like the one I just bought, but this could also be musicians, it could be any type of art online, is that NFTs can be designed where that person is not only credited for their work ongoing, which does not always happen with a photo. Right now on the internet, somebody can take a photo, put it on a website with their name, attributed somewhere on the page. But if it's not written into, like watermarked or like the artwork isn't signed, that photo could be passed around and no one will know who the artist is. But even if it is signed or watermarked, sometimes that can be cropped out. Sometimes it's, you're not even recognizing who that artist is. You're ignoring the watermark, for example. And that's become a bit of an issue, and people's are losing money because they're not further compensated for things. They're not attributed, so that might get in the way of them getting more work, or their artwork is essentially stolen and used without their permission. And this has even happened with me. People in the past have used images of me on their websites for profit, and I would have to go hunt them down and say, you never got my permission to use my photo, and I didn't want to be part of this project. But there were multiple occurrences, and it felt like such a violation of me. And what happened is that my image would show up in a Google image search, and they say, oh, like this girl looks like a good fit for this project. I'm just going to use her image. And in the past, especially, maybe not so much today, but years ago, that was generally accepted to be okay. People basically viewed anything that they found on the internet as if it were a royalty-free stock image. So that's one big element and issue that NFTs hope to address. But the other cool thing about it is that most NFTs, to my understanding, have a royalties built in place so that when that artwork is sold, the artist will always get a percentage back to them, which actually does not happen that much. Like, perfect example, the artwork behind me right now on my wall, I could go and sell that and the artist would never know. They would never see another dime. They only get the money from the very first time they sold it to me. And this is also an issue, even with those prints I talked about, like with IKEA. I'm imagining that what they do is they hire an artist, they pay them a flat fee, and IKEA can use that image either in perpetuity, which basically means forever, or for a certain amount of time they have usage to sell as much of that artwork as possible. And I imagine that IKEA ends up making a lot more than the artist ever does, and the artist will never know exactly how much IKEA makes from that in this example. Whereas NFTs, because they're on the blockchain, the records are always there, so you can always look up how much something was sold for and who's owning it, who created it. There's a whole transaction history, and that actually gives a lot more transparency, but also makes sure that people are properly credited and paid for their work. And to me, that's like amazing. So when I see a project like this, a national parks project, I think of like, this is benefiting me because it has utility. It's benefiting me because I like the way it looks, but it's also benefiting all these people involved, and they're listed on the website. I can go connect with them. I can see exactly what their plans are with things. It's just created a bond, a community connection, and transparency. And so I will leave you with that today to think about whether or not NFTs feel like something you want to pursue and how you want to play a role in it, and reminding you to set some sort of a timeline for yourself and let me know if I can support you in that and guide you along the way. I'll be doing that anyways every day on this series. I'm either here every day or every other day. My schedule fluctuates. I just kind of go with whatever I'm feeling. When I feel overwhelmed, I usually skip. But all of the previous episodes, the links to the podcast and the other platforms, my contact information, plus a place where you can get some of my Rally coin for free. It's all over at whitneylauritsen.com/web3. I would love to hear from you. I want to know what your questions are, big or small. I'm a beginner, so nothing is too basic for me to cover. I want to make sure that I'm supporting you every step along the way. And I appreciate you tuning in, whether you're here live or you're watching the recording or listening to the podcast. This has become such a great source of joy for me, and I'm continuing to do this because of people like you who are just supporting me by watching and listening. So thank you. Hope to see you back again for another episode. And until then, wishing you all the very best with your Web3 journey, wherever it may take you. And lastly, I will say one last tiny little thing. If you're super skeptical about Web3, I would love to know why. Like, truly, I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise. I'm just trying to understand skepticism more, because I see it with like so many rose colored, like, not so many. I see it through rose colored glasses, to be honest. Like, I shared yesterday in episode 29, like some frustrations, but even through those frustrations, I still feel so positive and excited about this. One thing that I've been meaning to cover for quite some time is the environmental side. And I feel like I've been taking my time to address that because I know it's a big topic. So I want to push myself to address that soon. So that's part of my aim. I'll get to that soon. I think that's a big thing to consider when getting involved with NFTs and cryptocurrency. So I promise that'll be in very soon. That'll be in an episode very soon. And if there are any other topics of concerns or skepticism you want to share, I'd love to hear it so that I can think about it and explore it and go through those questions as well with kind of a different outlook. So again, that the questions I'm referencing are the questions concerning technology. All right, that's it for today. Thanks again, and I hope to see you soon.